hope you all are having a wonderful day. Today I'm excited to have Bella and O'Hara on TikTok talking to us about my dog Elephant and all things my dog. So if you are excited, like this video, comment down below, and turn on subtitles if you need them. That's why I have them. So Bella, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Bella. I'm the account owner of really O'Hara's account, at My Eyes O'Hara on TikTok. And I am blind. I'm a blind individual. I started losing my sight at the age of 6 years old and was declared blind at the age of 11 years old. I am now 22 years old, and I am a blind senior biology student in college.
That is amazing. I can't imagine how you do that. That amazes me. Yeah. And it's so fun seeing O'Hara in her bad coat and everything like that.
She's pretty cute in it.
Yeah, he's really cute in it. Oh my goodness, I know you are blind and we hire your blind dog to help you see. Do you want to explain the task and the importance of it?
Sure. So O'Hara was trained by a program called Guiding Eyes for the Blind, which is in New York. She was trained for 2 years, and it was about $50,000 is the price of the training. It's a lot, but they're a nonprofit, so they rely on donations in order to be able to continue their incredible mission of pairing guide dogs with blind individuals for free. Like they gave her to me as a gift. So, and I feel that she truly is a gift. So internally, and I'm just so indebted to them forever. But her job is to help me get to point A to point B while not navigating me around obstacles. She can check for obstacles that are on the ground, so anything that's going to be like a tripping hazard, curbs, steps, anything of that nature. She also checks for obstacles in the middle ground, so is there construction tape, is there like a bar type gate in the way? And then a really cool one is that she also checks for overhead obstacles. So when they're little puppies, they train them at guide dog schools to look up and to be able to identify overhead obstacles, and they memorize the height of the person that they're paired with so that they know, hey, there's a tree branch hanging down, you're about this tall and you're going to hit your head if we keep walking, so I'm going to bring you around it. So that's a part of some of her tasks. She's doing like dozens of things all at once and essentially being my eyes. I do have some limited vision because 90% of blind people have limited vision, but I do not have enough to travel outside of my dorm room or my house without a white cane or without working with O'Hara. So she definitely helps a lot. She's able to bring me to classes. I teach her where the classes are, and the way that I know where they are is based on prior training. It's called orientation and mobility lessons for blind people, and it's basically travel training. So I know how to find the classrooms, but I can teach her to find them so that I'm not having to read the braille on every single door frame or having to use my cane to count each door frame and try to find those types of indicators. So she's able to do that. She's able to find doors in general. She can find counters. I can teach her to pretty much find anything that I need her to find, like any location, or she finds trash cans, which is very helpful when I'm at school because I need to throw away her stuff after she goes to the bathroom. So she's able to bring me 2 trash cans to throw them out. The things that she's able to do are just, they're not endless, but they're pretty close to it.
Right.
They're pretty incredible.
Right. And I know, like, because for me, I'm in a walker. I have cerebral palsy, and I know how help to having to help, not having to rely on another person could be. I thought about that for many years for my health with the service dog. Because my as many of you who are watching this video may know, most of us don't really want to rely on one person 24/7. I know I've been annoyed by that. And I'm sure you do too, having to rely on humans, 24/7, and that makes not that humanly possible, So having a dog that can do most of the things humans can do is really important and really cool.
Definitely.
Yeah. What's the process that someone has to go through when knitting a guide dog?
So it depends. People can train their own service dogs, and that goes for guide dogs as well, because a lot of people don't know guide dogs are just a type of service dog for the blind. So all guide dogs are service dogs. Not all service dogs are guide dogs. They're all different types of service dogs. So it depends on if the person wants to own or train the dog. I am personally uncomfortable with that just because the tasks that a guide dog has to do, in my opinion, for me, I'm more comfortable having a professional do that who was trained in being an orientation and mobility specialist for blind people and also trained in dog training. So I just feel more comfortable with the professional doing it personally when it comes to something as like life-threatening as this if it goes wrong. So like so many things, it's just complicated to train. But the process for me for Guiding Eyes for the Blind, and it varies depending on the program as well, because she is a program dog, is I had to fill out a paper application that went all over like my medical history basically, and about the nature of my blindness and like things I can/cannot see, and what type of routes I walk every day, and just so much detail. Like they just want to make sure they're getting all the information that they need. Then I had to have my other doctors fill out forms. So that was like 3 or 4 different doctors, including my primary care and also my ophthalmologist. So my eye specialists had to fill out forms about my eyes, and my orientation and mobility instructor at the time had to fill out forms about my travel skills. That all got sent into them. Guiding Eyes for the Blind called me. We did about a 1-hour long phone call, went over all the paperwork, plus additional things, even things that you wouldn't think about that often, such as how many lighted intersections do you think you cross every single day? Like things that detailed they go over. And then I waited for them to schedule a home visit with me, and they sent a lovely field representative out who was able to come and walk with me in person, watch me use my white cane, watch how I travel. He was able to sit down and talk to me about the financial responsibilities of having a dog and what my day would sort of look like having a dog, make sure that I was ready. I was 17 at the time, so that they went over that in extra detail. And he went over all that. And then I had an interview with their nurse in case I would have gotten accepted. I was going to do, they have an at-home training where they come to your house to train with the dog, but then they also have an on-campus training in Yorktown Heights at the Guiding Eyes campus. That's the one I was doing. So I had to talk to their nurse and go get a tuberculosis test actually for that. And then they sat down and they made a decision. They said, yes, we can give you a guide dog. You qualified and your application looks all set, but we don't have a dog for you until a year from now. So when I was told yes, I had to wait with the anticipation of meeting O'Hara for an entire year after.
Oh my God, that would kill me waiting.
It was a lot to handle.
I kind of know that process too for meeting a dog, because I at one point a couple years back I applied for a service dog because I'm now 20 and I thought that might help, with my daily task. However, the company I applied to brought me a really hyper puppy that was nippy and almost knocked me over. So I was like, no, no, thank you. I'm not working with you guys anymore. And I ended up making the companion dog. Because the more I thought about it, I was like, I don't know what a dog would do for me if I retire home help. Like, I need help driving and all that stuff. And I'm like, a dog really can't do that, but it was worth a try. I know in many of your TikTok you talk about my dog elephant. However, I feel like that is often misunderstood by the public. Can you explain what it means and the top rules for elephant?
Sure. So I'd like to start off with one of the rules in general. One of my rule of thumbs, and I wrote a children's book that has this in it, but one of my rule of thumbs is ask to interact with anybody's animal. Don't just go up and pet any random animal, even if it's just a pet dog on the street. If you don't know that person and you don't know that animal, please don't interact with them without asking, and teach your kids or family members, loved ones, anyone to just please always ask to interact with somebody's animal that is not yours, service dog or not, because it could be a bad situation for the person petting the animal. It could also be a bad situation for the animal itself, because you don't know what the animal's going through at that time or what they need as their structure. So it's just always polite to just ask in general. When it comes to service dogs, it's also extra important to ask to interact. Some handlers will tell you that they don't want to be asked, and if they tell you that, please respect it. Some are fine with being asked, so it really depends on the individual's basis. But the worst that can happen when you ask is the person's going to say no. When they say no, you cannot pet or interact, it's really, a lot of people think it's just petting, but it's talking to the dog, making kissy noises at the dog, trying to pet the dog, trying to command the dog, any form of trying to get the dog's attention. Even prolonged direct eye contact is considered a form of distraction. So with the dog. But when you are interested, if they say no, it's because every single service dog is trained to directly mitigate the disability of somebody who is disabled from a disability. So the Americans with Disabilities Act, which is the federal law protecting disabled people against discrimination, does actually have a definition of disabled, of what would qualify you for having a service dog. So there are disabilities that don't qualify, and there are some that do. But the whole point of it is that the dog is actually trained to do something that is lessening that person's disability. For example, O'Hara is being my eyes. So when she's out in public, she gets lots of time to play, be a dog, and everything when she's not working, and get love from people. But when she's out in public, she is so focused on being my eyes and getting her treats, which is her favorite part, getting her treats and lots of pets from me and rewards. Like, she loves working, but it's because that person relies on that dog to go through their daily life. And it could be even their safety. For example, seizure alert. So if you pet somebody's dog, not only is it illegal in some states to interfere with a service dog knowingly, but and you can get in trouble for that, but if the person gets hurt, but it is just, you're putting somebody's life in danger. But if you ask them and they give you permission, sometimes I let people pet O'Hara if it's safe for us. If they give you permission, you can interact with the dog based on their rules. And that's because the handler had the chance to tell the dog that they are no longer working, to know, hey, okay, my dog is not on duty right now. It's not really paying the most attention to me. So something could happen, but it's definitely something that I approved. So that's why you want to give that person the right to their health, the right to their safety. And asking to interact with the service dog, is the right to their health, is the right to their safety. So it's, again, any form of interacting. When you see a service dog, they don't have to wear vests, they don't have to wear harnesses, they don't have to wear anything that says they're a service dog. So it's the behavior that makes a service dog, not what they're wearing. Those are handlers' choice to put those on their service dogs. They're not requirements by the law. So any service dog, always ask or ignore the dog completely and just carry on and realize that the person who is disabled will give the dog lots of love when they are not working, and let people give the dog lots of love. But when that dog is out, it is actively saving their life.
Right. And I myself, I think about it as you wouldn't come up to somebody in a wheelchair or a walker and put somebody walker or wheelchair without, even though I know people who do, that kind of weird thing. A dog is a piece of medical equipment. So treat it like you would treat anybody in a walker or a wheelchair or with a cane, because I wouldn't like it if somebody came up to me and put my walker, because I literally fall on my face because I walk so at my own pace that if somebody accidentally put me too fast, I won't be able to keep up. And that's kind of the same situation with the dog. Like, if you interact with them, you're putting the handler at possible danger because you didn't ask to pet them. Yeah. But hey, why etiquette so important?
Etiquette is important because it protects the person's life. It really comes down to that. As you said, service dogs are considered medical equipment in the United States. They are not considered pets. And as you mentioned earlier, there are emotional support animals, which are very different than service dogs. They are super valid for those who really need them, but they don't have the same rights as service dogs because of the training requirements for service dogs. So, but there's a difference. A lot of people think that, because they have an emotional support animal, they can just bring the dog or animal out into public, but it's not saying that your animal is not valid. It's just saying that there is a place and a time for both service dogs and emotional support animals, and they're both helpful, different ways. So I just wanted to clear that up. But etiquette is so important because of it's keeping somebody safe, it's protecting their life. You sharing it with your friends, you calling out people nicely who are, my policy is to never yell at somebody or never be rude to somebody who's interacting without knowing, because like, they're not going to learn. If I'm screamed at and somebody's trying to teach me a lesson, I'm going to block them out. I'm not going to listen to screaming. So if somebody's nice to me, you can be firm, but you can be nice too. But like firm is also good. Just not screaming and yelling and like being rude to them, because they're going to walk away learning something if you actually treat them with respect, because you're asking them to respect you. So you need to respect them and be like, okay, maybe they don't. Maybe there's such a lack of service dog education. Maybe they don't know that they're not supposed to do this, or why. So many people are like, I know that I'm not supposed to, but why? So that's the whole point. Like, you can be firm, but I try to avoid being like rude, because I feel like if I'm rude, they're not going to walk away with that. They're just going to be like, wow, she was really rude. They're not going to be like, wow, I can't touch service dogs because it's dangerous, which is what I want them to walk away with. So they would take the wrong message away. But it's like super important because it protects people's lives. Basically. And like, the dog went through so much training.
Yeah, and like you said, a lot of people don't have that training or that education about etiquette or disability, period. Which is why I'm a huge advocate for admitting disability education in school as a requirement. Like, I believe that, elementary school, high school, middle school could be teaching some form of disability awareness one disability benefit because that would take so much time in our daily life. It's not even funny. My next question is how can the public learn disability or service dog etiquette?
So the first thing I always tell people to do is check out ada.gov. So ada.gov. It is the federal website where that Americans with Disabilities Act stuff I talked about is located. They actually have a frequently asked questions about service animals page. So it's a Q&A style. It's super easy to read. It's not like legal jargon. It's very like simple. It's like, here's the question, here's the answer. And so that's really, really great. One of my biggest pieces of advice is that I always recommend to try and stick to .gov websites when it comes to service dog education or reputable programs or reputable sources, just because there's so many websites out there that will say they know everything about service dogs, but they look so legitimate and they're like, but they're not. So the best place, you always know that when you're on a .gov website, you are getting 100% the correct information. So that is probably my biggest piece of advice. Reach out to local service dog programs or local service dog handlers. If you have like a child that you want them to come speak at your school or anything like that, like reach out to them. I know there's a lot of handlers, including myself, that do public speaking engagements. So like we're open about talking about it. Would love to come do educational stuff. There's also the programs that might be able to bring puppies out so that, you know, people can meet the puppies and then we can talk about why it's so important for this information to be spread, share with loved ones, share with family. That's really the gist of it that I can understand. And listen to handlers, listen to actual like service dog handlers on their stories and know that what they say is valid, because I've had a lot of people try to, and not just on my videos, on other people that I know who have legitimate service dogs, they try to invalidate their experience. And they try to say that like they shouldn't be complaining about these things, but know that these are our rights. And so it's not complaining to stand up for something that is there for us so that we can have an equal opportunity. It's not complaining, it's just asking you to please follow the law so that we can have equal treatment.
Right.
Not special treatment to have a service dog. It's integration. So yeah. I need my dog to be like everybody else.
Same here with my ADA mobility and all that. People are like, what's the problem with that? No, I don't have any problem with it. I'm minimally pointing out that not enough mobility. Yeah, so I will put the ADA website down in the description for you guys, and any other information that I can find. I do have a service dog company that I did an interview with, so I'll put that down below, as well as Bella and O'Hara TikTok. Make sure you will follow them. They're adorable videos and really educational as well. And thank you, Bella, for being on my channel. It was so much fun.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing awareness to this topic. It means a lot.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, it really helped me too, because it's like the same amount of it's like what I have to deal with my mobility. You know, I have parents out in public that they're like, can my tire and touch your walker? I mean, no, you may not. I'm literally walking in it. But nope, don't touch it. I don't know why people are, trying to make habits but if you like this video, comment down below any questions you may have, and I can send them to Bella or try and answer them myself. depending on what it is. And I will see you my next video. Bye.
Hi guys.
I'm